So, Tommy Robinson's out. Let's talk about it. My name is Sharma. Welcome to the Sharma Show. Hello, and welcome. Welcome to another edition of the Sharma Show. Thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you. All right, so Tommy Robinson has been released on bail. He was arrested outside of the Leeds Combined Court after filming a trial of a grooming gang. According to reports, he was handed a 13-month sentence within 6 hours of his arrest for violating a suspended sentence which he had received for a similar offense in Canterbury last year. The problem came when Robinson started filming live outside the Leeds Court, and he was trying actually still very hard not to be on court property. He was trying to be outside of the court property while filming it, and he was still arrested and sent to Onley prison. Now, the Chief Justice Lord Burnett has ruled that the case be reheard because there were technical flaws in his sentencing the first time around. He said, "We are satisfied that the filming of contempt made in Leeds following a fundamentally flawed process in what we recognize were difficult and unusual circumstances cannot stand." In essence, what he said, that the 5 hours from arrest to sentencing at the Leeds Crown Court was a bit rushed. Also, Robinson wasn't apparently told what part of his activities were potentially prejudicial to a jury, which means that he doesn't really know what exactly he did wrong. However, even though he was let go on bail, he is still convicted in contempt in the case back in Canterbury last year. His bail conditions also order that he does not approach within 400 meters of the Leeds Crown Court. Now, let's be very clear about one thing here. What he did was not very smart, because just a year ago, he was convicted for doing something very similar in Canterbury, and he was clearly told that he had to stay away from doing an activity like this in the future. And just a year later, he goes and does something very similar to that. Now, he is shining the light on a very crucial issue, an issue that people like to skirt around. But still, it was an unwise move, and he does have the tendency to be a little reckless. Having said that, though, I completely understand the frustrations that he has as well. The media and the general public narrative has treated him pretty unfairly, in my opinion. You know, they've always painted him as a Nazi and as a Nazi sympathizer, but we need to remember something, that this guy was the leader of the English Defence League, which was gaining a lot of popularity among working class people. So he could have, if he chose, stayed the leader of that movement and had a considerable amount of influence. But he realized that more and more sort of right-wing extremists and more Nazis and Nazi sympathizers were associating themselves with EDL and were coming to EDL events, and he was having trouble, and he was failing to remove these people or keep these people out of the EDL and its movements. And he has himself admitted that because of that failure, he left the EDL. And again, he's one of the few sort of Western right-wingers that I find to be surprisingly reasonable. He's not part of that crowd that's like, oh, if you're not from the West, essentially you're useless, you don't matter to us. He actually makes a very conscious differentiation between the sort of Hindus and the Sikhs and the radical part of Islamic society. He doesn't just run with the all browns and all Asians are bad rhetoric. And for that, he has my appreciation, because he recognizes the fact that Hindus and Sikhs by and large have seamlessly integrated into any Western country that they've migrated to. They're fully integrated and they're fully woven into the fabric of the societies that they move to. And even with the grooming gangs, he makes that distinction as well, because you don't see a lot of freaking Sukhwinders, you don't see a lot of freaking Manjeets or freaking Ravis and Rahuls in those grooming gangs. But again, he has the tendency to be a little reckless and to fly off the handle a little bit. I remember there was a case where he suggested that all the Muslims living around a particular mosque were potentially enemy combatants, which again is not the smartest statement to make and not the most well thought out statement to be making. Also, I remember there was this case where he apparently went to Rome because there were multiple reports that within this migrant colony in Rome, a lot of female journalists were being attacked and harassed. So when he went to that site, apparently a lot of migrants started threatening him with violence as well. And after continuous constant threats, he apparently turned around and punched one of the migrants in the face. And then the Daily Mail turned around and published a headline saying, "Far-right thug Tommy Robinson punches a migrant in Rome while filming in an apparent no-go zone." And not just that, Twitter apparently decided that Tommy Robinson's Twitter account should be suspended for tweeting a statistic that actually originated from the Quilliam Foundation, which is a Muslim-run group. This statistic was about Muslim rape gangs. which is again funny because Twitter is happy to let accounts related to Al-Qaeda, Lashkar-e-Tayyiba, and ISIS run for a very long time. And again, like I said before, he brings light to a very important issue, and the issue of grooming gangs. It is an issue that most of British society and an overwhelming majority of the British media just does not want to focus on because it is a very uncomfortable truth. Even when they cover instances like this, they call these grooming gangs Asian grooming gangs.
What the hell?
What is this? What is this? For what? Why?
Like apparently there's a bunch of Chinese people and a bunch of Korean people, a bunch of Hindus and a bunch of Sikhs walking around in these gangs, which is not true. The cold hard fact is that these grooming gangs involve men of overwhelmingly Pakistani origin. And he's one of the few people that is focusing on this very important and very uncomfortable issue. And because he focuses on this issue so much and because he brings so much attention to this issue, he has become a sort of a thorn in the side of the popular narrative and the public discourse. And that is why this narrative exists against him. And it is a very serious issue. I mean, look at Rotherham. Just go search the Rotherham scandal in England on Google and it makes your blood boil. And he also focuses on the problem of radical Islam and Islamism. And this is a problem that afflicts both India and Britain very seriously. So again, I'm happy that he's out. He is an important voice that needs to continue to keep talking about these things because these are very important issues that in public discourse and in the media nobody really wants to talk about. But he also needs to remember that the media and the public discourse is very highly skewed right now. And I have a little tiny piece of advice for Tommy as well. Now look, some of your conservative friends and some of your right-wing friends are probably going to tell you that this is some Eastern heathen mumbo jumbo, but try meditating. It works. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching today's episode. Let me know what your thoughts are on this episode as well and on Tommy's release. Let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to leave a like. Please make sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you enjoy what we do here on the Sham Sharma Show, you can go ahead and subscribe to the show's channel down below or over here. I will see you for the next episode. And until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you soon.